Hey, Black here, and welcome to my hot take on something that I've seen discussed so many times since I joined the Star Citizen verse, and that is the idea that those who are creating content or streaming Star Citizen, a game that seems to be perpetually in alpha, are just living in a dream world when it comes to the game that they are covering, and that they pretty much overlook the mountain of evidence that points to Star Citizen being a scam and can only smell the roses and not the crap underneath. So without further ado, let me roll the thing so we can get to this contested subject. Alright, so before I begin in earnest here, let me first say that I'm not here to shame any content creators in any way because I know the hard work that goes into creating any form of content, and that is not what this video is about. This is just my hot take on what I've witnessed from quite a few of the more popular YouTube creators and streamers, and although I plan on calling it as I see it, this is in no way means I'm trying to disrespect them. I mean, who am I to judge those who have achieved a greater success in this medium than I have? Good question. So glad I asked so I can lead you through this video with my breadcrumbs. I am a gamer, first and foremost, who enjoys creating content, but more so to try and satisfy my own creative impulses by mixing something I truly love, gaming, with the graphic and visual arts I also enjoy, as a way to get out some form of personal expression. My personal Star Citizen history goes back only a year and a half, and I'll discuss that more in a second, but the point I want to get across up front is that I'm not telling anyone who watches this video to follow me for all your Star Citizen news and update news, or expect me to be your go-to Star Citizen content creator. I'll never be that for you. I did try to offer up my own stamp on creating weekly news content for Star Citizen last year, but quickly learned that I would much rather focus my energy and time on a breadth of games and not focus just on this game. And for the amount of work I was putting into trying to offer up the weekly development news in my own style, it simply was not worth the effort, and people are more than happy to continue to get their weekly updates from those who are well established. Now, just because I do not put out weekly videos doesn't mean I don't plan on putting out any Star Citizen content. I enjoy making guides for games, and as I dabble in that territory more, and as more gameplay loops come online in Star Citizen, I will definitely be tossing those up more and more. But I do plan on creating some content about new features with some of my own thoughts on those features, so you can definitely count on me for that, and sub to my channel if that interests you. So, now that you know who I am and what my Star Citizen street cred is, let's discuss something I do know quite a bit about, and that is those who are creating content for this game or streaming it. But, Casablac, you just said you play other games and not necessarily Star Citizen full time. Now, while this is true, I do watch more Star Citizen content daily than any other game. I watch streamers every day. I check out news about the latest features and listen to what many creators have to say or where they think the game is heading. I watch every Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live, and am also an avid watcher of Atmo Esports and all the wonderful things that they do. I read messages on Reddit, Spectrum, streamer chats, and Twitter, and respond or chime in when I feel the need to do so. I'm a very low-key participant, but well-informed and very active with my intake of content across a wide breadth of Star Citizen content creators. So, what gives me the right to share my opinion about whether or not Star Citizen content creators are delusional? Well, pretty much everything I just said, and the hundreds if not thousands of hours I've put into consuming content, which is more than most who have negative things to contribute have done. Alright, so let me break this down into various topics of content creators, starting first with those first responders, as I call them. These are your dedicated hurry up and get the news out as soon as possible content creators like Board Gamer, Super Mac Brother, and The Eradicator. Due to their rush to be first and therefore to get more views, they are pretty bland when it comes to pizzazz or being edgy with top quality production, but that is to be expected because they are literally just regurgitating the news out to those who prefer things summarized in video form. All of these mentioned content creators also offer up weekly and monthly roundups, but again, nothing super glossy here, but very constant and dedicated, and if you want content creators you can set a clock to, these are your guys. But are they delusional about the game they cover? I honestly don't see them as being delusional, but at the same time they are not overly critical either. You get the news from them, and you also get some comments about the direction they hope things will go in, but I would say that they are more optimistic about things than others for most of the YouTube content. And if you want to hear more direct criticism about the game from these guys, you can watch their streams, but again, you won't find many overly negative opinions from them, and usually the optimistic tone still prevails, which might be off-putting to someone who wants a bit more two-sidedness to the content they watch. You'll hear the word hope a lot in their content, and while they will acknowledge setbacks as they happen, you'll usually get that nice optimistic spin to make you feel all warm and cozy inside, which is not a knock against them, but is a heads up for those who prefer a little more spice in their consuming. Again, not a knock against these guys as I watch them weekly and applaud their drive. So moving on, let's discuss those who might not be first with the news but are usually more in-depth and definitely bring more great visuals and production value with far less B-roll footage and more actual in-game shots, and will offer up a specialized position on the development. The content creators I'll discuss here are Space Tomato, Morphologist, and Captain Burks. So let me start with Captain Burks, who tends to cover combat more and who I know more through his streams than his YouTube content. Captain Burks is a great pilot, and I enjoy that the videos he puts out are normally more on the helpful side, especially when it comes to trying to correlate things to do in Star Citizen that might be popular to do in other games, or my favorite video of his, which is to not buy ships with real money. So what about Morphologist, who is one of the largest Star Citizen content creators out there? Well, I'll be honest, I don't watch much of his content because his architect point of view on ships does not really do it for me. I prefer someone else's take on ships with more of an emphasis on use and tips like Subliminal. But what I can say about Morphologist is he is very much a straight shooter when it comes to his opinion on CIG and where they stand. You need not look any further than his video in February of 2022 telling people to basically forget being excited for 2022, or pretty much playing if you're looking for anything great that's coming. He did this at the risk of losing many subs, so much respect for that ballsy video, which definitely shows that he is not delusional when it comes to creating content for Star Citizen, which brings me to Space Tomato. If ever you wanted someone who cheerleads for Star Citizen, look no further than Space Tomato. Now, before you go imagining him in a cheerleader's outfit and getting all hot and bothered by that mental image, let me just say that he brings the heat when it comes to his intelligent explanations and provides some very compelling arguments for those who try to dismiss what CIG is trying to do. I consider Space Tomato to be the Vulcan of content creators because he constantly brings in logic. Sorry man, I just had to add your ruggedly good-looking face to some meme images. Is he delusional though? Not at all, because if he was bringing some fake news garbage rants without any proof or intelligent thought, then I'd be like, yeah, Space Tomato is living in a flippin' dream world, but that's simply not the case here. So before this video turns into an hour-long review of every Star Citizen streamer, let me wrap this up with one final round of creators, and those are Astropub, Zero State, and Salty Mike. Now, if you're someone who tries to guess the ending of everything you watch, you probably think this round of creators would be the extreme argument, since we started out kind of shy, then moved up to the medium ground, and now seem to be heading into the hardcore opinionated content creators, and in some ways this is true, but that's not why I grouped these three together. Let's start with Astropub. Is Astropub delusional? Not in the slightest. I cannot tell you how many times he makes me feel delusional, because they'll be talking about a subject like recently with salvaging, and the topic was, will it make it into 318, and I immediately thought it looks likely, and then Astropub and his guests all brought my hopes shattering down around me, making me feel like I'd been as naive as Neville Chamberlain leaving Munich with Hitler's signature declaring the two countries would never go to war. What I like about Astropub is how he gets content creators to talk about things, which is not only beneficial to the community, but to the devs as well, as Astropub gets name dropped by a lot of them, so you know they trust his content as an accurate pulse of how everyone feels. Now let me toss Zero State into the mix, even though he does not really belong as an extreme opinionated content creator, but because I feel he has a very nonchalant, correct assumption of what is going on with the state of combat in Star Citizen. But does his ease of demeanor make him delusional? Again, I have to say no here, because during the last couple of weeks of 317 PTU issues, he has been very honest about the state of things and offered up a lot of reservation in his hopes that things would be a huge change for the better. He always manages to keep expectations low, but is very happy to help others and allow them their opinions during his streams and without being an apologist for CIG. So I saved the best for last, and that is Salty Mike. Up until a little while ago, I could honestly say I was not a fan of Salty Mike, and that was because I think I, myself, was a bit delusional as an avid content consumer of Star Citizen. I did not want to hear more of the same chorus that pretty much kept me away from checking out the game for many years. That being that the game is a scam and that it will never release, blah blah blah. But that's not what Salty Mike does. He's a very passionate content creator, and if you were to just judge him off of his negative connotative YouTube thumbnails, then you'd be missing a very important voice in the Star Citizen argument. I recommend watching his streams, probably first, and getting to know him that way. Now, I cannot say that I agree with everything he says or can get behind all of his rants, but I truly appreciate appreciate his content for bringing up those counterpoints and for trying to keep the developers honest in their duties to those who have paid for something and expect something in return, even if it will never be as promised. Is Salty Mike delusional? Nope. But he just might prove that you, as someone who thinks the game has no faults and that CIG does not need to be held responsible to backers, or that they can do no wrong, are the delusional ones. Look, Star Citizen is an unmitigated mess of development. No one except some of those who are delusional would think otherwise. But I think it's okay to still be a fan of the game, as it is, and I think it's also okay to be vocal about having higher expectations. Space Tomato definitely has better explanations as to why things have taken so long and why development is going to continue to be an upward climb. But as consumers of content, players need to stop trying to attack these content creators who are trying to navigate the uncertainty presented to them with insane setbacks served up on a silver platter almost quarterly in some form or fashion. And without them creating content and trying to keep the community engaged to ask the difficult questions to keep the developers on their toes, I don't think this game would even be in the state it's in now. I have not seen any of the mentioned content creators refuse to acknowledge the issues the game actually has. In fact, most poke fun at CIG and meme the hell out of them, and streamers like Enterprise even had a wheel of glitches he would spin every time he had an issue in the recent 317 PTU build. As usual though, I believe that most of the naysayers about Star Citizen are those who do not truly follow it and only come into Party Crash streamers or their content discussions, so this video will probably go down as not watched because those who are in the know already know this, and those who aren't don't want to know. So that's going to do it for this wee bit of content. So glad to get that off my chest. Please make sure you check out all the content creators I mentioned, as you'll get a great sense of the game and community from their content and streams. Anyhow, as usual, I ask that you guys have fun and remember to be kind to each other and always stay positive. See you next time.